the president of the United States, a.k.a. Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, a.k.a. the guy from the fucking Apprentice. I feel slightly betrayed by TV because I watched that show with my parents. They loved him. You're fired. They loved it. They loved it. Now you're fired. Now you're fired, Mom. I mean, the guy from The Apprentice is in charge of America. He's fucking up the world. What? So we were going to make a video about the tariffs, the first ones, but then they went away. And then the Zelensky thing happened and we thought maybe we should cover that. But then immediately after, Israel sunk to a new low, an even lower low. And we thought maybe it was a good idea to show Canada's role in enabling that to happen. But then the tariffs came back. And then we're like, you know what? Let's set up the gear and get back on this story. And while that was happening, they're gone again.
Bruh.
What is happening right now?
So fuck it. This video is called What the Fuck is Going On?
I am Confucian.
Welcome back to Bred in Captivity News, an unfiltered look at the world from a Canadian perspective. I'm joined in the studio by channel producer M the Gem.
Hola.
Let's get into it. The world is shocked that the country that overthrew governments in Guatemala, Cuba, Chile, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Ukraine, Somalia, just to name a few, has now set its sights on Canada.
Yeah, it seems like this is just what life is now, you know? Trump says jump and everybody else in the world is like, okay, how fucking high, bro?
Fuck this. He's out there giving these weird speeches, leaning into the mic like he's Pepe Le Pew.
You know what? I felt so bad for the microphone. It looked like it needed a cigarette and just a really good shoulder to cry on.
Awkward, man. Awkward. And he's surrounded by these sycophants that are just cheering every single step that he makes. And I mean just like a physical step that he makes. They're just like, oh my God, Donald Trump walked. It's how they treat Kim Jong-un in North Korea, okay?
But where's the lie?
It's bizarre. It's weird. And they love everything he's doing. They love it despite knowing that they are ruining the lives of the people in their country, the people in our country, and across the world.
You just contradicted me. You hate America.
If I could just get a word in.
You hate America. You like the terrorists.
Well, I guess you're right again.
It doesn't matter to them, though. They're going to be insulated from the effects of this, right? They're going to amass so much wealth that they'll be able to watch this world burn from an ivory tower, roasting marshmallows over the flames. And when it's all said and done, and the survivors just come hobbling out of the ruins, they'll just send you back to your 9-to-5 job that they can just now apparently snatch away in the blink of an eye.
Oh, you mean the thousands of government employees that learned through that they lost their jobs in an email or online from like a random post? You know, I saw Elon Musk post about that, and he was boasting that he was so thrilled to spend the weekend feeding U.S. aid into the wood chipper.
You're not even from there.
She doesn't even go here.
Can we just talk about... Okay, first of all, the email that M the Gem brought up is... It's the most sus-looking email I've ever seen. If you've ever worked at a place where you have to check any sort of work email, you get some warning that, you know, oh, don't open any like spam.
Yeah,
like
right.
phishing
This is what it looks
attempts.
like.
This guy just sent, and I wish I was joking. I wish I was embellishing. He sent government workers in America, and I mean just all federal workers, an email asking them to justify why they should be able to keep their job by listing out what they've done in the last 2 weeks. I'm not joking.
If I got that email now in the profession that I've been in now, I would think it's a joke.
You could have sent me that at McDonald's.
No.
You could have sent me that anywhere.
What do you mean?
I work here.
What do you mean?
Annual reviews are a thing. I work here. What do you mean send me an email telling... I've watched you on Twitter for the last 2... Why don't you send me an email? You send me a fucking email. I've seen you on Twitter. I mean, him and Donald, oh, there's so much fentanyl coming back. Take it out of Elon's system then. Canada's sending less than 1% of their drug problem there, and I'm seeing a way bigger drug problem on stage waving around a chainsaw. If we want to talk about what drugs are doing to America, maybe you should ask him to give up his dealer.
That's not a sober man if I've ever seen one.
The guy from The Apprentice and a fucking South African spoiled brat whose father, and I'm not joking, said that Elon used to just go into the safe and grab a ruby to sell when he needed it. And who amongst us haven't had like heartwarming stories like that? You know?
You don't know the life of real struggle, okay?
Who among us hasn't gone to their father and said, Papa, and said, Papa, I really, really need to buy something. Could you help me? And Papa looks at you and says, sure, son, go into the safe and snatch yourself up a ruby.
The ones that we've stolen from these native
don't worry. You know what I mean?
Here.
Your mother and your grandparents made great decisions, son. They left Canada and came all the way to South Africa to make sure they can steal from these people, okay? And now that we're South African, right?
If you're poor, stop being poor.
I have all these jewels for you, baby boy. And Elon's just a normal guy. What? You've never... You're telling me you've never gone to your parents' safe and taken out a ruby to sell?
That's crazy. You're liars.
The guy from The Apprentice and this freak are putting the world in turmoil. The guy from The Apprentice.
There's not a number of times that you can say that, and it just doesn't even settle in my brain. I'm like, this is a joke.
There are incredible stories that the president of the United States, a.k.a. Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, a.k.a. the guy from the fucking Apprentice. I feel slightly betrayed by TV. Because I watched that show with my parents, and they loved him. You're fired. They loved it. They loved it. Now you're fired. Now you're fired, Mom. I mean, the guy from The Apprentice is in charge of America. He's fucking up the world. What? Like, when you think about how people say there's like multiple universes and everything that. How did we end? Okay, you know what? Let's just move on to.
Do you think there's a multiverse in which Trump is a good man?
And when Trump is not president, I don't want the guy from The Apprentice to just be a good guy. America has given the world some of the smartest minds we've ever seen. They're sending things to space. They are, but the guy from The Apprentice is the leader of the country. It makes no sense.
I'm so sorry.
It's like if all of the Avengers showed up and fucking Eagle Eye was the one that's like calling all the shots.
First of all, it's a Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. That's how much he doesn't matter. That's how much he doesn't matter. Okay?
You could have Captain America and Thor there just next to each other, and people
then
are
you'd be like, hey, this is really heavy. Do you want to step in? And they're like, nah, man, he's going to make America great again. It's just like, what the fuck? So whatever. This is life now, you know? That guy is in charge, and we didn't vote for him in Canada, but
but we're still suffering.
But apparently, he's our president now too. Even if he doesn't
talk to Governor Trudeau, bitch.
even if he doesn't make us the 51st state, he is having the world dance to his crazy off-key tunes.
I'm sorry, I have to speak on this. This is so. This is not probably where you're going, but looking at the political leaders and how they speak to and act around Trump reminds me of the way that I have to behave around my cousins who are like 5 or 6 years old.
I can't believe this is real life.
Yeah. Well, you have to cater.
Starmer had to go to him and say, Mr. President, the king wrote you a letter.
And he sends his regards.
Yeah.
He could not be here today.
Oh, yeah. Look at this.
Wow.
You see this paper? They only print this in the royal palace. Yeah.
And we did this for
just
you.
For you. Yeah. We would never put this in the mail. That's why I had to bring it to you. Because you're so special, Donald. Can you imagine a fucking room of British lords sitting around
They discussed this. Like, they had a meeting about this.
Their country is so old and so ancient. They've done horrible and terrible and amazing things. And now the best of them have to sit in the room where Winston Churchill sat.
Oh my God.
And think of a way to placate the fucking host of The Apprentice. Otherwise, you're doomed. And they're in there like,
Because you're fired.
I say, Kia, we're going to need to make a real impact when you go there. So we should give him a gift. The Arabs gave him gold. He likes shiny things, you know. Yeah. What can we give him? Perhaps some gemstones,
Some trinkets.
No. He hated the queen. That I recall. He hated the queen. Yes. We should give him something from the king. Yes, and we'll tell him it's technically better. Yeah, no, it's technically better that it's from the king, Donald, because this one's a king, a boy.
Oh, boy.
Yes. And if you like, Donald, you can come round and we'll show you the palace. You can
So true.
You can shake hands with His Majesty. Yeah.
Because
would you like
explain
that?
to me any other situation in which you can speak to a political leader that way and they would not look at you like you're being a condescending shit.
You can't talk to me like that if I'm your fucking waitress.
That's true.
Okay, like,
That's true.
what do you mean? Look at this. Isn't that nice? Look. And he's there eating it up.
Oh, he loved
And
it.
then
He loved it.
He's going to go like to the back room and he's going to brag, and grown men who saw him do this and know how humiliating it is are going to have to say, oh,
Great job,
President
Mr.
Trump.
President.
President Trump, that was incredible. They fucking gave him a 5-minute standing ovation, and some poor woman had to hold a sign saying this is not normal, and then a grown man snatched the sign out of her,
Did
out
you
of
see
her
her
hands.
face? I'm going to put the video up here, but I need you guys to
She
all
was
look at her
dead.
expression.
She was dead inside. Her face is like the collective feeling of all of our minds. Like, I guess this is fine. I guess this is what we're doing. You know, this is what we get for making all those memes, right? Because I saw that little guy in the coffee shop that was burning down. Things weren't so bad then. Now we can start saying this is fine.
Now we
can start saying this is fine. So where does this leave Canada? Because whether or not the tariffs hit, it almost doesn't even matter anymore. We are going to be impacted. The whole world's going to be impacted. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like we just found out that we're uninsured for stupid president. And we have to like get a whole bunch of homeowners insurance, including potentially talking to the EU about joining them.
That's so ridiculous.
You have to click up.
That's crazy. But can we have one of the other countries
It's
in the
prison
EU?
rules.
You know what I actually saw online? That Switzerland is siding with Canada, and it's so weird to me that in terms of this tariff war, Switzerland is no longer a neutral country.
Oh, you can't say neutral anymore. The Germans like came and they say neutral. Trump is coming and they're like, no, stop.
No.
I heard Donald Trump say once, and I don't remember where it is. If I can find the clip, I'm going to. But I heard him say during his first presidency, Saudi Arabia makes billions, that they should just give us some of that money. That was a real foreign policy idea from him.
Yo, you know what's so funny though? That's pretty much what all of my brown.
They did.
That's pretty much what all brown family members say too. You're making so much money. Give it to me.
They're related to you. We're not even in the same part of the world.
That's so true.
They're like, that's not even our hood. Like, we don't even go there. You know what I mean?
Doesn't even go here.
Like, it's just like, imagine some like Scandinavian or Iranian just looking at Canada and saying, guys make so much money, you should just give it. Like, it's ridiculous on the face of it. You can barely get regular human beings to give spare change to the poor. And you're looking at like, give me some of your GDP.
You know, this is the same man who would just say, why can't we print more money?
He's bombing us with so much scandalous stuff. He's drawing Sharpies on a map when he wants. You know what I mean? He's hurling paper towels at Puerto Ricans when he wants.
Oh, making fun of the Paralympics by doing his little
He's
mimicry
calling
stunt.
war heroes little losers. He called
The man who had bone spurs how many times in his life?
Yeah.
Who could not
But he's
print,
a tough guy.
Yeah, he's a real tough guy.
And he's AIing posters of himself. The man during this presidency, the first day he was in office, he made a meme coin and sold it. The president.
Thank you. How have so many
He made
Americans
billions.
just forgotten about that? I spoke about this the other day with you, where
That's the plan.
there were literally millions of dollars that people just kind of handed to him.
Billions.
That's even worse.
And it's amazing because there's a vesting term on this, if I understand it correctly, that is for the length of his presidency. A vesting means that, like, say you buy something and it's going to accumulate an interest, there is a rule that you cannot take it out before a certain period. And the rule here is you have to keep it for the entire length of Trump's presidency. And when he leaves office, what value would that coin be?
So can I ask you then, why is he allowed to do this? Is this the same reason like lobbying?
He's not allowed to do this. He's dictating policy from Twitter. Like, he's not allowed to do this.
That's true, because I remember in 4th year of law school, that's what they make you do too.
There's a long-standing tradition when a politician comes into power, especially in America, that you literally give up. You're supposed to put all of your financial interests, your bank, your businesses, everything that makes you money outside of your salary of president into something called a trust, right? It means that you can't touch it. You can't be involved in it. You can have somebody else manage it for you, right? Donald Trump was like, I trust me. He's like, I'm keeping my business. My daughter got like billions of dollars from China. She got Chinese patents. You know how hard it is to get a patent in China? They just handed her a bunch. Ivanka, because she was in the White House, because, you know, she's so smart. And she's like, it's Ivanka Trump. Like, when you think government responsibility, whose picture comes to your mind, if not Ivanka Trump? And when you think solving the Middle East crisis, whose picture comes to your mind, if not her husband? Okay. It's the Trump family's a package. You know what I mean? The dad can come in and just like tweet away whatever you're supposed to do. The daughter can come in and just like make a whole thing in China, and her husband come in and he can be in charge of the Middle East, because, you know, whatever the fuck. There's entire universities and professors. There's entire university degrees and professors who focus on this for a living, and there's people who have made a career out of being politicians that focus on this. But, you know, you came out of Donald Trump's ball sack, and that is a credential on its own.
And this is what happens when you hire the guy from The Apprentice.
And this is what happens when you hire the guy from The Apprentice. This is also what happens when you just like sleep on what's going on, because we've let regular politicians be at the wheel for so long and rip us off so hard that we are so thirsty for change that we're just kind of like roll the dice at this point. And that's how I feel like a lot of Americans felt, because you thought Obama was going to be a change. You know what I mean? But he was just a change in, you know what I mean? Because fuck that guy. For real. I mean, yeah, Obama, but like, fuck that guy. You know what I mean? Like he was no friend to black people outside of the continental United States. And even then it was just lip service inside of the United States. You know what? Let's not even get into it. You got a guy like that and you think my whole life is going to change and I'm going to go back to like the economies that I used to see in these movies where a man could just have a job and a family and live a normal life. And no, that's not going to happen for you. It didn't happen for you then. So then what are the people to do? Once you've given it every single thing that you can, once you've voted in every variety that you think you can, what are the people supposed to do when nobody else is allowed to come up with?
Yeah, okay, but still not fucking hire the guy from The Apprentice. He shot himself on set. You hired a man that has thrown tantrums on the set of a TV show, shot himself, and then requested, not even
How is shitting yourself not a disqualification?
First of all, thank you. You
know what? Healthcare in America is so bad that maybe a lot of people just sympathize with him.
You're right.
Maybe a lot of people just were like, you know what?
Like it's a Tuesday for me.
Cholera's a thing. Okay. Whether or not tariffs hit in Canada, companies are going to take advantage of this moment and increase prices across this country. And we have seen them do it before.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember the price of toilet paper? Like, what, 2 years ago? First of all...
higher than silver, I think.
Yeah. I remember people were literally going up on Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji being like, do you have toilet paper?
And then people are getting shamed online for, like, getting their cart... you know what? And the thing is, to this day, nobody can explain why toilet paper blew up. To this day.
It was the one thing everybody went to go stop.
It was a case of broken telephone that I think will get studied by anthropologists in the future, or sociologists, or whoever looks into that kind of stuff. And then it's never become normal again. Because if you're from Ontario, you've been to Shoppers Drug Mart, the days of seeing those 69-cent boxes of tissues,
69 cents.
that's done. A deal is like $1.09 now. And I remember that things got so bad that Galen Weston, CEO of Loblaws, had to get dragged before Parliament to explain why his company would not stop ripping us off. Like, they would be packaging meat, and when you see the meat package, it shows you exactly how much meat you're supposed to be getting. It's written there in weight in kilograms. So these slick pricks were including the weight of the packaging, which you are not supposed to do, into that ticket price, and then charging you for the whole thing, which you're not supposed to do. And he got dragged in front of Parliament to explain for that and a lot of other things, because somehow, as food prices went up, and people were getting so broke, had to make hard choices in the grocery store, do the
Food
mental
banks were on
math.
the rise everywhere, and they said that we don't have enough resources to fund, help people out anymore.
At that time, their profits were blowing up. And what did the Ford government do when we were getting ripped off like this? Pretty much nothing. Let me read a little bit from here. The CFIA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, they were supposed to do an investigation into what was happening at Loblaws. They do their thing, a report comes out, and they're like, you know what? It's all good.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, totally.
Except you read the report, and CBC, I believe, did an investigation on this. You read the report, and it turns out their inspector didn't go to any Loblaw stores.
That is a very thorough inspection.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
and
great
then
job.
what was their reasoning? Oh, yeah, no, I sent this guy an email, and I said, hey, man, pretty much this is not cool. And then they were like, oh, yeah, sorry for breaking the law. I'll fix that right away. And then they didn't.
Yeah, thank you.
And then they didn't. And what did our government do to help us? Bupkis. Nothing.
Yeah, but you know what? Stuff like this just flies under the radar all the time. There's always something else out there.
Yeah, and the news from outside this country is so sensational that we just don't always get an opportunity to even pay attention here. And that's how people like Galen Weston could go on TV and make these stupid commercials where he's doing his best impression of a human being buying food at a grocery store, and Canadians are just eating it up because nobody is telling you in our news that this is the guy that's also robbing you, that you're not going to be able to afford the food he's advertising in these commercials, and he's going to absolutely make sure of that. And people like this, people like Weston and Ford, when they see an opportunity like this, they just start salivating at the idea that they can continue to take Canadians for all they're worth. And right now, there is an opportunity on the table for them. There is this feeling of coming together that is palpable all over this country, coming together as a team to face off this American threat. And while I do think that's a good thing and it's a positive thing, we cannot blindly follow whoever is in charge. That's what America does. And that's why they wound up with a government that can gaslight you into thinking that they're going to run the best economy, change the country for the better, while campaigning on the exact opposite, calling half of their own population criminals, promising to take rights away from women and minorities, promising to deport children, and then he's in power and we're shocked that he's doing this. We cannot afford to let that happen here. Right now, more than ever, what this country and this province needs is a vocal opposition. People need to see what the conservative and liberal governments across this country are doing and be able to discern what in the coming days, weeks, years, whatever, what is the fault of the tariffs and out of our control, and what is the fault of our own government's incompetence? Because while Ford is out here talking about punishing America and turning off lights and stuff, which honestly, I'm not even sure that he can do. I mean, there are systems in place that control this, and I'm not sure how Ford plans to circumvent this, but I feel like he's just trying to talk a big game. The man is trying to out Trump, but I don't hear a lot about how he's planning to take care of people, right? Mike Schreiner wanted to double your grandparents' disability money, right? And we awarded him with 1.6% of the vote. Merritt Stiles wanted to give everybody a rebate check, and we gave her 20-something% of the vote. But we gave Doug Ford 65% of the vote. Well, we, along with our broken voting system, check out our previous video where we explain exactly how Canada consistently throws away half of the votes that are cast. So right now we need those people to be out and about loud and proud, talking about what they would be doing versus what Ford would be doing, talking about the similarities between this government and Trump's government, because there are similarities and we can no longer just be better than America. That bar is too low. It's been too low, but now it's really too low. We're seeing our government not really prepared for something like this, right? All our eggs were in one basket, and we're exploring opportunities that were on the table really this whole time. We could have been exploring trading opportunities with these countries this whole time, and it would have really benefited us.
Yeah, we've had literally a discussion about this where I asked you to explain to me why the hell we rely so much on America just because they're right there.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me based on the unpredictability in the last few years.
There has not been for a long time any incentive to really work for the people of Canada, right? Because we've talked about this before. Our government is just a liberal government, the conservative government, the liberal government, or the liberal government, or the conservative government. And as long as they're able to consolidate power between themselves, like the game is just about getting the ball back in one side of the court or the other. But we have parties in this country, the Green Party, the NDP Party, that are coming up with logical, good sense policies that would have probably, had they been in power, put us in a situation closer to Sweden's, closer to Finland's. You know what I mean? We're here in Ontario with our OHIP plans that's covering less and less all the
Jesus
time.
Christ, yep.
While developed countries are around the world are leaps and bounds ahead of us. And forget developed countries. Cuba's health system is leaps and bounds ahead of Canada's right now. They're doing original research. They're talking about getting close to curing lung cancer. I don't really see that kind of stuff happening here, right? Everything has just been good enough. We don't have the sense of pride that we're feeling, the sense of patriotism, not nationalism, because there is a difference and it's a big difference. But the sense of patriotism that we're feeling here and the pride in being Canadian, it's really sad that it's coming at a time like this. And, you know, the once in a while where we clean up a few gold medals at Olympic Games. But a country like America or a country like Germany or the UK, they have a lot more going on, right? I mean, they are the center of civilization in a lot of these places. Things happen there. You know, the sports teams in America are something that drive patriotism and like love for your country, your state, in a way that we just don't see here. You know, we have hockey, but it's such an expensive elitist sport that our government doesn't really, you know, you brag about it outside, but you don't really do anything in your communities to put kids into these sports. We don't have like teams from every province competing at an international level. What a frigging embarrassment. You know, our identity for too long has been Diet America, you know, and now that they've shown how unstable they are, we cannot just get so happy that our governments are reacting to this. We have to also ask the questions about like why we're so exposed. This is not the first Trump presidency. This is not the first unstable American presidency.
Clearly, we learned nothing.
America has an America First policy. And now they're trying to enforce it on the world. But where's our Canada First policy? Good guys finish last. Okay. I mean, it's nice that we're polite, but it's that can no longer just be our identity in the world. You know, we have to do something. We have to like be the hub of something, the center of like education, build up cool schools, come up with new tech, get an exciting space program. It cannot be that this is the only time that Canadians can look at each other and be like, yes. You know what I mean? There has to be more than this because it's not enough to keep people going. Quite frankly, it's just not enough. You want us to be on fire before you pay attention to us. Doug Ford talking about, I'm going to build all these prisons and stuff. Oh, thank you, Doug.
That's exactly what we need.
Create the worst economic climate that we've ever seen in our lifetime and then lock up our children because we're not going to be home long enough to be good parents. We're probably going to have to take up second and third jobs. You're creating instability. And instead of taking that money and putting it into our communities, putting it into our kids, putting it into some after school programs, putting it into programs that are going to make sure that people can just have the basics. Instead of using the money for that, you're going to use our money to build prisons to lock up our kids. And that's like, what kind of a long-term solution is that? Who even wants these prisons around? What happens when you lock up everybody and then like the economy bounces back? What? Those prisons are just going to sit empty? I cannot stand this guy. Okay, I think that was a pretty decent rant.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to wrap it up here. Like it if you liked it. Please comment and subscribe and turn on notifications because we have some videos coming your way. We're going to talk about the Zelensky thing. We're going to talk about what's happening in Gaza. We're going to talk about the Canadian response to the tariffs, what we thought about them. And yeah, whatever else happens between now and tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I'll just check the news every 36 seconds.
Every 30 seconds. Bread in captivity, out.